Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
Hi, I'm Jessica Faust.
And we are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing. And I think this is a video that will enlighten and bring joy to a lot of authors.
The inside look. I love doing inside looks.
It is an inside look. And we get the question really all the time. I think all agents will. If it's not right for you, will you share it with a teammate or another agent at BookEnds, for instance?
Yeah.
So we wanted to walk through when this might happen, how to know it happened, what to do if it happens, and if it might not, what do you do then? So when you're querying an agent, usually you can only query one agent at a time. So you would
within the agency.
Within an agency, the same agency, you can only query one agent at a time. So if you're querying BookEnds and you have a fantastic crime novel and you send it to Jessica Faust, you cannot send it to me at the same time.
Correct.
You would have to wait for a response from her before you can send it to me.
Right.
Though sometimes Jessica really enjoys a book, but just knows it's not right for her. Maybe she has a book too similar, or she just doesn't have time to take on another client, or a myriad of other reasons. She might say, James, this is perfect for you. We're going to share it with you. And then she'll send it my way for me to consider. I think the first thing to know about it is it's not as common as you think it is.
It's really rare and specific. And what I would say, unless you know for sure it happened, assume it didn't.
Yes. So I think, right, assume it won't happen. And for the reason that if you pass, you know that an author can submit to me, right? Like, and we're giving you the choice to then submit to me.
Yeah. So the BookEnds policy on submissions is you can only submit to one BookEnds agent at a time. But over time, you can submit to every BookEnds agent. So if you are rejected by me, you can submit to James, you can go to Jessica, you can go to Kim, you can go to Rachel, you can go to whoever you want. Right. Once you've heard from the person who currently has the material. Check each agency's guidelines to see. Some agencies have a general submission account where all the submissions go in one place. Therefore, you are querying all the agents at that agency at once.
Right. So a no from one is a no from all.
Correct.
If you get a rejection, it is safe to assume, unless it's mentioned in there, like Jessica said, that it was not shared. I think, particularly for folks who are on Query Manager, the best way to know that your book was shared in-house, if the agent didn't say it, is if a different agent rejects. So yeah, I mean, on Query Manager, if Jessica thinks something is right for me, she can go ahead and forward it over, and then I would be the one in charge of responding to the submission.
And in full honesty, I don't tell the author when I share it. I figure that I don't want to put, this may be right or wrong, I don't know. I figure I share it with the person. If I share it, I believe it has a lot of potential and that the person I'm sharing it with is going to be excited about it. If I think this looks okay, but it's not right for me, like you send me a fantasy, which I don't represent, I don't automatically share it just because you sent it to the wrong person. I have to feel there's something really good about the book. It's usually something I really like about the book. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. So Amanda and I do this a lot. Like we share manuscripts.
Everybody shares stuff with Amanda a lot for Amanda.
Well, Amanda, first of all, Amanda has such specific tastes. And I think, particularly us, we have learned them so well that I'm like, this book just screams Amanda's name. But Amanda will do the same thing for me too. Like if there's, a horror submission that she really likes, but might be similar, she'll send it my way. And we usually do that in-house.
But you don't tell the author then, right? You just share.
Right, so that's what I was going to say. So if Amanda shares something with me because she thinks that I like it and I say no, she would just pass on it and she wouldn't say she shared it with me. You're welcome to query me. Of course, you wouldn't know. It's impossible to keep up with all of that communication, I think. But if Amanda sends something to me or I send something to Amanda, I always mark that I've sent it to that agent.
See, I never do. I don't know why.
Okay, well, maybe this is me being a little bit of a snob, but I have, I'm building my own reputation in terms of response times, and I don't want that built off somebody else. So if somebody's particularly behind, I don't want you thinking I'm not responding to your book because I've sent it to somebody else.
Right.
So that's why I do it. And then I don't want a million follow-ups, so I send it to that person. Again, probably a little snobby, but I don't like once it's off my Query Manager, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't share it with the author. And I guess my theory is if the other agent just wants to send it back to me versus respond on their own, I just figure that's between us. But I don't think, I don't know that there's a right or wrong. I suppose the authors could say, well, I didn't want to work with James because he wore a yellow shirt that one day, and which looks lovely, by the way.
Thanks.
And so I want to withdraw it since you forwarded it to James. But I guess I don't know. I can't explain why I don't. I just don't.
But for me, I think if they want to withdraw it, I'd rather you withdraw it before I start reading it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So maybe I should start telling the authors. I don't know. Anyway, either way, if I send it to the agent and you will get a reply from that agent, not from me, but you'll know, obviously, since you sent it to me. And usually the agent will say that I had forwarded it. So, so that's sort of how it happens on the inside.
Yeah, and there are a number of reasons, which I think you started to touch on, of why we might do it. And I think it's impossible to predict them, really. Like, you could have an offer of rep or an offer of publication. I'm like, this is just not right for me, but somebody else here might love it. Like, it's, it's kind of proven somebody else enjoys it. So maybe somebody else would like to take a look. Or
I think at the end of the day, there's this really solid knowledge that there's something really special about this book, and I want Bookends to have the best chance possible with it. Yeah. I'm just not the right person. But typically, like we said, that's not the case. Like, it doesn't happen that often. No. And if I think it's like, this might be good for Bookends, I'll just reject it, because I do want to respect all the other agents' workloads. And I don't just want to say, it's too hard for me to reject stuff, so I'm just going to make somebody else do it.
Yeah.
The biggest reason why we don't send stuff is for that reason, that we are all overwhelmed with queries and submissions as it is. And we don't want others to feel like we are adding to their workload.
Exactly. Yep.
Can we talk briefly about whether we do this outside of Bookends or it's only in-house?
Yeah, so really interesting. I mean, I have a network of agents outside of Bookends that I am friendly with, and they will all do it, but I have never thought to do it until I met them.
I don't refer agents outside of Bookends, typically, really rarely, because in my experience, I used to have a few agents who referred stuff to me all the time. And it really felt like they didn't want to reject stuff, but they also didn't think it was a book that they wanted to take on. So it felt like they were pawning stuff off on me. And then I was getting a lot of submissions that I didn't want because the agent was offering representation on the good stuff they got and pawning off other stuff. So I don't tend to refer people to agents outside of Bookends. Also, because I don't know their lists as intimately as I do everybody here. Yeah, like I know, like, generally, but I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's super rare. And it's in those occasions where I'm like, I immediately thought of you for this. And that, like, I would not do it just to get something off my desk. But there are times when, like, I do try to help the author as much as possible. And I'm like, this is just not right for me. I don't think it's right for anybody here. Try this person. But I've only done that a handful of times. I think that is super rare unless there are agents that are, like, tight.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if anybody at Bookends does it that often.
No, definitely not. But I've had a bunch of referrals from other agents come my way.
Yeah. And don't you sometimes feel like, why didn't you want this?
Yeah. Particularly when I don't know who the agent is.
Yeah. Yeah, and then did you really say my name? And then shouldn't we know each other? Or did somebody just make this up?
Yeah, there are definitely a few of those. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think it's flattering that I was thought of by another agency, industry professional. But oftentimes I do wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I do want to say, though, because I share a little success story because it just happened.
Yeah.
That I got a query a couple of weeks ago, and I read the query and I thought, this book sounds so cool and phenomenal. And I hit forward and sent it to Amanda. And Amanda is now officially working with that author, and they're preparing that for submission.
Oh, that's awesome. I have to say, I have a really good track record of this. There are at least like 5 to 10 bookends clients that I have sent to another agent.
Yeah.
I feel like I know everybody's list really well.
Yeah.
I think I know their taste. I mean, Amanda has a couple clients I've sent her way. Naomi just signed a client I sent their way.
Yeah.
So like when I do it, it's meaningful.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times when we can put something up in our Slack and be like, hey, I have this, not for me, anybody interested? So that does happen, I would say, more frequently than a targeted send.
You know what's interesting about the Slack thing is if nobody, when somebody puts something up in Slack, they have nobody in mind for it, and typically everybody says no.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of many that have been picked up.
But I think those are the cases where I'm like, I feel awful rejecting this because I do like it and I don't know why I don't want to rep it. I think those are the cases where that happens most frequently. The cases where I'm just like, no, it's not for me, but it's for this person, are when I'm really targeted about.
And then those get picked up. So it is interesting when you think about it, when we instantly know who it's for at BookEnds, it often is and is a success story. But when we sort of blindly throw it up, it's usually there's no hits.
Yes, and that is the best proof that it really is about the agent's tastes and like the circumstances that you send them that book.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it.
But bravo on all of the BookEnds clients.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I actually want to sit down and go through our client list and see how many I've done. I mean, I can name a few off the top of my head. It's crazy. I don't know.
I'm really enjoying your back patting right now. Like, truthfully,
yeah.
I'm enjoying that. You should. You should. That's awesome.
Cool.
So if you get a rejection, let's say from me, and I didn't forward your manuscript, don't assume it's not right for somebody else here, because there also have been a lot of cases where people have sent around the book before finding that right person. Just assume that it didn't speak to me in a way that made me automatically send it to somebody else.
Yep, for sure. I think that really about covers it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we hope this was helpful. Good luck querying. And if your book gets shared with another agent, congratulations, because it meant something to both of those agents. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so too. It didn't mean one thought less. It meant they thought more.
Yeah. So good luck, and we hope to see you back here next time.
Bye.